Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The USC commitment sweatshirt. It comes back on. Four-star offensive tackle Carde Smith committing to USC in the 2025 cycle. And Carde Smith's a guy that we've talked extensively about over the last couple of weeks and months. When he committed to Auburn, we were a big fan of this kid. I'm a really big fan of this pickup for USC as well. You look at Carde Smith and why I am such a big fan of this commitment specifically for USC is you look at the other offensive tackle you have in the 2025 class in Elijah Vicona, a guy that we really like in terms of what he can be at the collegiate level, a little bit more of a project in terms of a guy that might take 2 to 3 years before he gets on the football field for USC. You look at Carde Smith, this kid has a super high floor. He might not start year one for USC, but as year 2, year 3 comes along, it's hard to see Carde Smith not slotting in somewhere along this USC offensive line. I think he gives you that position versatility where you look at Carde Smith, I think his calling card is his athleticism. He can certainly play the tackle spot, but when you look at the film of Carde Smith, he is elite when he gets hands-on opposing defensive linemen. And so you take a look at him as a potential guard fit, kind of playing in a phone booth. You kind of like the fit at guard for Carde Smith as well. And so you can play him at tackle. You can play him at guard, one of those guys that's going to be easy to get somewhere along this USC offensive line and get really quality play. I want to dive into the film of Carde Smith, talk about what he brings to this USC offensive line. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the USC fans, all the fight-ons that you guys throw in the comment section. You guys know I have a blast talking this program. I can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Carde Smith. And I think it starts with his athleticism. You look at a lot of other offensive linemen coming out of high school, they might have the ideal frame like Carde Smith has at 6'5", almost 300 pounds. They really struggle to get off the line of scrimmage. They struggle to operate in space. You look at Carde Smith, two things that stand out. One, he is elite off the line of scrimmage. I mean, you look at the film of Carde Smith, he is almost the first one out of his stance. He's getting hands-on opposing defensive linemen. It's really rare to find these big of bodies that can get out of their stands and be an athlete like Carde Smith is. He's extremely explosive off the line of scrimmage. I think, secondly, he is exceptional at working to the second level. I mean, whether it's combo blocks, working up to linebackers, whether it's pulling around to the play side, this is an offensive lineman that excels operating in space. And I think that's a thing that is often hard to find with a lot of these offensive linemen who just kind of often rely on just their overwhelming size at the high school level. Yes, Carde Smith wins because he's a monster at 6'5", 300 pounds, but he also wins because he's an athlete, getting off the line of scrimmage, getting out in space. And I think lastly, my favorite aspect about Carde Smith, what he does at the point of attack. I mean, when he gets hands on opposing defensive linemen or linebackers at the second level, it's kind of game over. I mean, he is extremely good at winning at the point of attack, not allowing defensive linemen or linebackers to get off of blocks. That's another thing that you love about Carde Smith. I think he's a relatively polished offensive line prospect that can do a lot of different things at a relatively high level. You're kind of betting on these guys. And we have this conversation a lot. It is important to fill your recruiting classes at the high school level up with these kind of guys that you just feel good are going to be multi-year starters for your college football program. Because as we've seen the last couple of years in the transfer portal, it's really hard to get starting caliber offensive linemen through the transfer portal. So if you can fill your recruiting classes up with guys like Carde Smith, who you know are going to be starting caliber guys, whether it's at tackle or guard, that's a massive storyline for USC. You get into the film, there is just a lot to like about what Carde Smith brings to the table. Plays at that right tackle spot at the high school level. A couple of things that you see right away. One, he is extremely good getting out in space. And when he gets hands on defenders, I mean, it's kind of game over. You just see the power that he has in his hands. He's overwhelming at the point of attack. But as you continue to work through the film, there's a lot of different things that you like. Again, working to the second level. When he gets engaged with second level defenders, again, it's just game over for these guys. And he's athletic enough to get to the second level. And then when he gets hands on guys, it's kind of game over. And that's something that I love, because if you want to play him at guard, he's a guy that at the point of attack is going to do really, really good things. But I love how he gets to the second level, just uses his hands phenomenally well, getting out of the play side here, point of attack, just dominating. He's got a little nasty in his game too, which I think USC should definitely be looking for as you go into the Big Ten, as Lincoln Riley continues to try to change this culture from a physicality standpoint. You want these guys within your locker room, the nasty dudes, the guys that you want to be on their team, you don't want to be playing against. That's kind of Carde Smith as well. You continue to roll through the film. Again, I think it starts with how good he gets off the line of scrimmage. I think this is a great example, and we're just going to get on a down block here. First off the line of scrimmage, and he is so powerful at the point of attack. He plays very, very good with his level of pads, uses good leverage. I think this is a really good commitment, a guy that, again, could give you that tackle guard versatility. As you get more into the film, you see a little bit more pass pro reps from Carde Smith. Again, when he's engaged, he's running guys off the line of scrimmage. I think that's what it starts with. You continue to work through it. Really, really good in the run game. Maybe sometimes gets a little over his skis, but I'd rather teach offensive linemen to maybe dial it back a little bit more than just not have a physical enough punch. You see him finish in run blocks as well. I think this is a really fascinating commitment for Carde Smith. I want to get to that pass pro rep where he does show some functional athleticism in pass pro as well. Now, you look at Carde Smith and say, I mean, that's a really good rep there. He's a guy that kind of reminds you of a guard when you turn on the film because of how good he is when he's engaged with defenders. But then you take a look at the film in pass pro as a tackle. He is certainly a good enough athlete to be a pass pro tackle in the Big Ten as well. I think that's what I love most about Carde Smith. You go to the 2025 class for USC, you focus in on the offensive line. This is why I think this Carde Smith commitment is really good. By the way, love what they're doing at linebacker. We talked about Jaden Perlotti the other day. I think Matai Togiai and Jaden Perlotti are exactly what Dan Lynn is looking for at that off-ball linebacker position. Now, you scroll down and start talking about the offensive line class. You got Willie Washer coming from Washington, who's probably going to play that center position for USC. And then you have Elijah Vacona, who's 6'8", 370 pounds. You love the frame. Those kind of kids do not grow on trees. It's hard to get 6'8", 360-plus pound guys onto your roster. I love that USC's betting on them, but if you're going to bet on a tackle that probably is going to take 2 to 3 years to get on the football field, you should go out and get a guy like Carde Smith, who you feel like is probably going to be a starter for USC come year 2, year 3 of his college football career, whether it's at guard or that tackle spot. I think this is a really big commitment, not in terms only one, I like Carde Smith a lot. I think that made that pretty clear. But more importantly, really like how he fits in to the rest of this USC offensive line class. And it sounds like Lincoln Riley's starting to turn it up, and I love to see them recruiting from all over the country. You're seeing them dial it back in the 2026 class, specifically in the state of California, which I think is massive. But again, USC is a program that can go to the Southeast and go grab some top players like Carde Smith. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.